With Solo: A Star Wars Story garnering $14 million on its Thursday night pre-opening and overall $103 million domestically speaking, this really leaves a big question as to where Solo: A Star Wars Story will go and what does it mean for Disney. This is Mike Zero here. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. So as you all know, we've been doing a lot of the updates on the box office results and people that have been responding to those results and what they are actually trying to do about all of it, including Disney and what Ron Howard had to say, what Jon Kasdan had to say. Now, I want to go over a very interesting report by The Wrap. I do highly suggest that you guys go ahead and check out the full story below in the description. It is called Things Are About to Get Worse for Solo: A Star Wars Story. And I want to go over a little tidbit in that article that goes over new details about the box office results and what it means for Disney. Now, things are apparently not looking good for Disney as a company when it comes to this specific project, the Han Solo movie, by how much it's making and whether or not that will be able to break even on the budget, the amount of money that they put into this project because of reshoots and how a lot of that money goes to movie theaters out there. I've heard as much as 50%, I'm not quite sure how valid that is, but apparently as much as 50% can go over to the movie theaters. That's what Disney has to pay. But looking at Solo: A Star Wars Story, this is what The Wrap had to say in a piece of their report. So it states, overseas markets that push the last 3 Star Wars releases to more than 1 billion worldwide are simply not showing up to this Han Solo origin story, and that means the film might not even reach the $500 million mark. Analysts who spoke to The Wrap said the current estimated range for Solo's final global total sits at just 400 to 450 million. Globally speaking, that is really and easily the lowest total for any Star Wars film, including the original trilogy when inflation is taken into account. Given the film's pricey production budget, hundreds of millions of dollars, guys, hundreds of millions of dollars, alright? This is all after reshoots, etc. It goes on to say, it's possible Solo may need home release and other ancillary revenue to even make back its marketing expenses and turn a profit. So guys, I have never in my life seen something like this before when it comes to a Star Wars movie, where there's a big possibility that they may have to turn over to home releases to make some ancillary revenue to make up for their budget that went into this big project because of all the reshoots, the marketing, and even what they're going to have to owe back to the movie theaters, right? Because they get a cut out of everything as well. It's a very, very, involved process when it comes to how much a production company out there makes and what they have to give out to other people. Now, looking at Solo: A Star Wars Story, I'm not quite sure if that will happen, where it's going to come to a home release super early. I think that, yes, there's a possibility that they could very well put this digitally, like on Apple TV or all the other services out there earlier than expected in comparison to the 3 other Star Wars films that fall under the Disney era, such as The Last Jedi, The Force Awakens, and Rogue One. I think that's a huge possibility. As far as, bringing out, it on disc earlier, I don't know if that's going to happen, but I guess it's the same thing. If they put it digitally out there, it's basically just a home release right then and there. I honestly now can see that. I can see them doing that earlier than expected to make up some revenue to break even. But the point being is, would people really spend their money on a digital version of the movie when it's already out in theaters where they can actually go out and have a fun time and experience it with other people around them? Now, looking at the Han Solo movie, a lot of people have had mixed reactions on this film. It's nowhere as close to what The Last Jedi was, alright? There was a lot of negative feedback and criticism on that movie. However, with this one, there's a lot of good feedback. There's, also a great amount of people that really thought it was the greatest movie ever that falls under the Disney Star Wars films. Meanwhile, there's other people that say that it was a terrible film and they disliked it 100%. I, however, thought it was a good movie. It wasn't great. I liked Rogue One more. But looking at Disney's situation here, this is like a phenomenon because everybody, including myself, when I went to the Thursday night opening, the pre-night opening thing, I went in there, it was 50% full, maybe even less. Only people in the middle of the theater, nobody in the front, nobody in the back, and 90% of you guys on here and everywhere else I've been looking elsewhere, everybody is saying the same exact thing. Even people in other countries have been saying that when they saw the movie, not just on Thursday night, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, just yesterday, they've been saying each and every night that their theater was empty, or 15%, or 25% full. And it's a phenomenon. I really don't know what's going on here. I think that The Last Jedi Backlash and the Solo boycott definitely has a role in a lot of this. Also the marketing format, and maybe even the fact that, you know, they didn't release a trailer till just a couple of months before this movie actually released. If you look at all the other films like Avengers Infinity War and Deadpool 2 and stuff like that, we got trailers way before the release dates. But looking at Solo: A Star Wars Story, one thing that I will say is that I do enjoy the movie. It's not great. I'm not quite sure how many times I will be seeing it in the theaters. It's an enjoyable, fun ride. It does take quite a bit of time of getting used to Alden's take on the character, but your mind just adjusts to it all. That's all I can really tell you guys accurately. The other thing is that, you know, parts of the movie are very slow and choppy. You can kind of tell where the reshoots took place, which, by the way, Ron Howard, he reshot 80% of the whole entire movie. So the remaining 20%, you can tell where that is within the first and second acts of this movie. You can definitely tell and point it out. But looking at everything else here, guys, you know, Disney's situation with everything, you know, and moving forward, we do know that apparently they have changed their plan when it comes to their format of releases. So they were going to, and they were trying to release 2 Star Wars movies a year after Star Wars Episode 9. That was going to be their new format. Now that seems to have been ultimately scrapped. Apparently, if you guys want to go ahead and look that up, Disney actually changed their plans to just doing 1 Star Wars movie a year now, because they think that this is all caused by a frequency issue or oversaturation or Star Wars fatigue, which I don't really think it's that. I think that, if anything, it's because of, you know, the negative feedback from The Last Jedi based on decisions by Rian Johnson and Kathleen Kennedy, etc. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think about this all in the comments section, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.